Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Kuliah 15. My name is Liana Nabiha binti Muhammad Salihuddin, and together with my friend Mulfikah binti Muhammad Noor, we will be presenting to you about plant responses to phytochrome. What is phytochrome? By definition, phytochrome is a blue-green leaf pigment that can be found in the cytoplasm of plant cells. It acts as a light switch for the plants. Phytochrome has many functions, such as promoting seed germination. It inhibits shoot elongation, promotes flowering, affects plant spacing, and accumulate chlorophyll. We will be explaining to you in further detail each one of these functions in the next slides.
Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the composition of phytochrome. Phytochrome have two identical proteins. Each protein has a larger portion in which a light-sensitive region is located. The smaller portion is a kinase that can link a light absorption with the transduction pathway within the cytoplasm. Signal transduction is a process by which chemical or physical signal is transmitted through a cell as a series of molecular events, which is kinase. Phytochrome can be said to act as a light switch because it can be in inactive form and active form. Phytochrome red, PR, absorbs red light and is converted into PFR, phytochrome far red, in the daytime, while PFR absorbs far red and is converted into PR in the evening. The figure in the slide shown that is called as a phytochrome conversion cycle, which is known to control various growth functions in plants. The inactive form of phytochrome, which is PR, is converted into active form, PFR, with the presence of red light, which is prevalent in the daytime. PFR is involved in various plant responses. PFR is converted into PR whenever light is limited, which is during night. So, what is photoperiodism? Photoperiodism is a physiological response prompted by the changes in the length of day or night in a 24 daily cycle. It requires the participation of biological clock that will be explained later and the activity of phytochrome. The significance of photoperiodism is in regulating flowering in plants. For plants that flower under a certain day length can be considered to be photoperiodic. There are three classifications of photoperiodic plants that will be explained by Liana. Hence, let's first identify what is meant by critical length. Critical length is the numbers of hours of darkness or light that will determine whether or not the flower will bloom. There are a few general aspects of critical day length. Some plants require just one day fitting in with the critical day length requirement in order to bloom. Others need the critical day length to be met for weeks before they will bloom. In addition, the critical length can be influenced by temperature and location. For application, the extensive use of photoperiods and manipulation using artificial light to control flowering time of plants in order to have them flower at times of biggest demand, such as Mother's Day, Christmas Day, Father's Day, and such.
Plants can be categorized into three different types: short day plants, long day plants, and day neutral plants. For short day and long day plants, there are three different conditions that illustrate the flowering mechanism. Here we have 6 bars, 3 for each type of plant. The yellow part of the bar represents daylight and the black part represents night. The dotted line in the middle is the critical dark period, or otherwise known as critical length. Let's look at them one by one. Short day plants flower when night exceeds the critical dark period and the day is shorter. Let's look at the first bar. Here, the day is longer than the critical length, and this plant does not flower. In the second bar, the day is shorter than the critical length, and this type of plant flowers. In the third bar, the day is shorter than the critical length. Remember that this type of plant should flower. However, there is a flash of light interrupting the dark period, and this prevents flowering. An example for short day plants is cocklerbur and chrysanthemum. Now let's look at long day plants. Long day plants flowers only when the night is shorter than the critical dark period, or when the day is longer. In the first bar, the day exceeds critical length and the plant flowers. In the second bar, the day is shorter than the critical length and this type of plant does not flower. In the third bar, the day is shorter than the critical length. However, there is a flash of light interrupting a long dark period and this induces flowering. An example for a long day plant is roses, clover, and spinach. Here we can conclude that plants respond to light, therefore proving the presence of phytochrome. The third type of plant is day-neutral plants. Flowering for these type of plant does not depend on day length. Examples are tomato and cucumber.
So now let's move to the next part of our presentation, which is phytochrome and germination. The presence of PFR indicates to some seeds that sunlight is present and the conditions are favorable for germination. This explains why some seeds such as snapdragons, poppies, and petunias must be only partly covered with soil when planted. The seed of the birch tree need 8 consecutive days of 10 hours of sunlight before they will germinate. Germination of other seeds, such as those of mustard plants, Arabidopsis or corn, is inhibited by light, so they must be planted deeper. When the deeply planted seeds germinate, it uses the food stored within the seed to grow the roots and elongates the shoots until it can push its way out from the soil. The first flash of dim light instantly changes the development instruction for seedling and a new set of physical changes occur called photomorphogenesis. The presence of PFR indicates that sunlight is available and the seedlings can grow normally. The leaves expand and become green and the stem starts branching. Lastly, the example of plants that grow in the absence of light is alfalfa sprout and asparagus. The vegetables are simply elongated stems that are yellow or undergo elongation, that is, the shoot increases in length and the leaf remains small and yellow. Plant that is grown in the dark do not receive a different set of instruction from their pigment and thus never exhibit photomorphogenesis.
Moving on to our next function, which is phytochrome and competition. Usually when we buy seeds from stores, they often have instructions on how far we should plant the seeds in order to avoid competition. And in nature, this spacing is controlled by phytochromes. So how does this work? First, leaf shading increases the amount of far red light relative to red light. Leaf shading happens when plants are planted next to each other and the leaves overlap. Secondly, the plants measure the amount of far red light bounced back to them from neighboring plants. And the closer that the plants are, the more far red relative to red light they perceive and are more likely to grow taller. So as you can see in the figure here, there are 2 light green colored plants. The first plant is planted further away from the other 3 plants and is shorter. This plant has a high red to far red light ratio. In the second plant, it is planted next to two dark green colored plants, and as you can see, leaf shading occurs. This plant has a low red to far red light ratio, which means that it detects more far red light compared to red light. And this is what signals the plant to grow taller so that it can achieve enough nutrients, sunlight, water, and territory that it needs to survive. The last function that we will be explaining to you is circadian rhythms. Circadian rhythms is defined as observable biological oscillations that occur within a 24-hour periodicity. As we know, plants have many metabolic activities, and throughout the day, there are times when there will be high activities and there are times when there will be low activities. And these cycling changes are what we refer as circadian rhythms. Behaviors showing rhythms include cellular respiration, photosynthetic activity, growth, germination, and many more. So take example photosynthesis. There is a high activity of photosynthesis during the day compared to during the night because there is the presence of light. Plant circadian rhythms tell the plant what season it is and when to flower for the best chance of attracting pollinators. Basically, circadian rhythms are what helps the plant regulate specific tasks that should be done at certain times to get the best result. Here we have the example of morning glory. This is a picture of morning glory during the day, and this is a picture of the morning glory during the night. As you can see, the flower blooms only during the day and closes during the night because it is easier to attract pollinators during the day compared to during the night. Next, circadian rhythms are entrained to a daily cycle. What does it mean to be entrained? I'll give you an analogy. We are from Malaysia and we are going to fly all the way to America, a country where the day and night pattern is different from our previous environment. And this change is what makes our body a bit shocked, and we will experience something called jet lag. However, our body will soon adjust itself and we will be able to sleep and wake up according to our new time. This is what happens when we have circadian rhythms. And entrainment for plant circadian rhythms means that the plant will be synchronized to light at daybreak. And this happens through the action of phytochrome and blue light receptors. Now, there are a few qualifications for an activity to be considered as circadian rhythms. First, the activity should occur every 24 hours. Secondly, it should take place whether or not during the day or night lighting is present. And thirdly, it should be able to reset if external cues are provided. Murfika will explain to you about biological clock and how circadian rhythms happen in further detail.
So now let's move to the last part of this presentation, which is biological clock. So what is biological clock? Biological clock is an internal mechanism by which circadian rhythm is maintained in the absence of appropriate stimuli. If organisms are sheltered from environmental stimuli, their biological clock keeps the circadian rhythm going, but the cycle extends. In plants with sleep movement, the sleep cycle changes to 26 hours when the plant is kept in constantly dim light, as opposed to 24 hours when in traditional day or night condition. Therefore, It is suggested that biological clocks are synchronized by external stimuli to 24-hour rhythm. As previously mentioned, the length of daylight compared to the length of darkness, called the photoperiod and influenced by photochrome, sets the clock. Temperature has a little or no effect at all. This synchronization with light is adaptive because the photoperiod indicates seasonal changes better than temperature changes. Different species have different genes in order to perform similar tasks. So how does a plant know when the sun comes up? It's not like they can see the sun, but they know it's there and they anticipate the sunrise. A study from University of Cambridge found a sugar that they produce helps plants to set their clocks to Earth 24 hours a day. Inside chloroplasts, a sugar is produced which helps align their circadian rhythm to change the sun patterns. In a low carbon dioxide environment, they could actually slow down the clocks and end up moving it out of sync. Every morning, this sugar metabolism cycle resets the clock and starts a new day. Another research told that inside of the chloroplast cell, there are phytochrome molecules that we have previously mentioned. As the plant absorbs sun during the day, phytochrome changes from PR to PFR. Essentially, the sun winds up the plant's clock. Once it gets dark, the countdown begins as phytochrome decays from PFR back to PR. The plant is measuring on how long the sun has been gone. As the PFR decays to a certain level, the plant will know the sun is about to return and they can sprout or flower. I think that's all from us. Thank you.